Good evening. This is Tuesday, November 27th, 343 days until the 2008 presidential election. Mispronunciations and faux pas are not the exclusive province of the dummy. Two-time presidential candidate, intellectual, UN ambassador Adlai Stevenson once told the world body that under Fidel Castro, human rights in Cuba, quote, have been circumcised. He meant circumscribed. But in our fifth story on the countdown, everybody screws up words. This, however, is getting ridiculous. During his cameo at the Israeli-Palestinian conference in Maryland today, the president had less luck with the names of the participants than Czech President Václav Havel did with Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa in 1998. With no new American proposals or promises to actually help facilitate the peace process, the rhetoric of progress ringing hollow at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis this morning. And so did the pronunciation ring hollow. The president, flanked by leaders from Israel and the Palestinian territories, trying to convey an air of import and gravitas, even putting on glasses before he embarrassed everybody.
The representatives of the government of the State of Israel and the Palestinian Liberation Organization, represented respectively by Prime Minister Ehud Olmert and President Mahmoud Abbas in his capacity as chairman of the PLO Executive Committee.
Elmo was not there. That would be Prime Minister Ehud Olmert and President Mahmoud Abbas he's talking about. Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa. But why remember names when the only reason for being there was to secure a photo opportunity for posterity, though incredibly, Mr. Bush even needed help to do that properly.
Congratulations for your strong leadership. Appreciate it.
Thus, with the help of a man whose name he can't pronounce and whose company he quit after a mere 3 hours, President Bush got his photo op. We're joined now by our own Richard Wolff, senior White House correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Richard, good evening.
Good for you, Keith.
But, well, in any event, the president could only spend 120 minutes in Annapolis, if that much. This afternoon, he made time to grant an interview to the Associated Press. He said he's been, quote, very engaged up to the moment in the peace process and that he's concerned that it won't work. So why has he avoided going to the countries, and why did he leave after 3 hours today?
Well, there are a couple of ways to look at this. First of all, any peace process at all, after 7 years of nothing under this administration, is to be welcomed, and it is a significant step forward. But look, if this president can achieve this much, doing relatively little, then imagine what he could achieve actually engaging with this. So as this moves forward, remember this is the beginning of this, not the end. There is scope for him to actually become much more fully engaged than he has. The White House says he's been making phone calls, he's been doing stuff, but we all know from his language, from his schedule, that's not the case. He could do a lot more, and he could achieve a lot more.
But when the AP pressed him on what he thinks is very engaged, according to his own terms today about the Mideast peace mission, Mr. Bush replied, I work the phones, I listen, I encourage, I have meetings, I do a lot of things. He ran out of specifics after meetings. Why didn't he just go back to that line from the debates 3 years ago that it's all, hard work?
Hard work, right. Look, every model that has happened before with American presidents getting involved in the Middle East, whether it's Jimmy Carter or Bill Clinton, has been about personal engagement. I have no doubt that Secretary Rice will fully immerse herself in this, but it does require leadership. The way the president has looked at this, the way he expressed it today, was as a bilateral negotiation between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Well, yeah, the two countries have to work things out, but it's been bilateral for 7 years, and bilateral has meant war. So really, it does require, in the words of one very close American ally, it requires babysitting. There is only one babysitter that can happen here, and that's the United States of America.
I have one question about one of the other nations there in a moment, but first, about the photo op. Did he get it? Simply getting that photograph, was that what he wanted out of this, and did he get it, or was it a backfire for him?
Well, it wasn't Bill Clinton-esque. It wasn't the South Lawn and Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin. He rushed it. I'm not sure it was a very good photo op. Again, there's a lot of skepticism out there, not just in the region, but among very close allies elsewhere about whether they will continue to be involved. And the photo op isn't enough. Not at this stage.
And one specific point about international diplomacy. Invited to this at the behest of Secretary of State Rice, Syria. The Wall Street Journal pointed this out. This is just 7 months since the Bush administration came down like a ton of bricks on Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, because she visited Syria, and their quote at that time was that it might make Syria believe they are a part of the mainstream of the international community when in fact they are a state sponsor of terror. So a visit by the Speaker to Syria, misleads the world, but bringing them to a Middle East conference in the United States does not mislead anybody?
Yeah, you know, I was talking to one former senior administration official today about this, and they said, what does this mean for the Bush doctrine? What does it mean for all the work that went into Lebanon, where Syria is playing a very active, disruptive role, and frankly, democratically elected leaders in Lebanon are scared of being assassinated by Syrian elements. It is, at best, a mixed message, and at worst, undercutting what this administration, this White House, has worked very hard to do, which is to isolate Syria.
Maybe everybody from Syria has an easy-to-pronounce name. Richard Wolff of Newsweek. Great, thanks, Richard.
Anytime.